And then I got really, really sick. I was dying. I couldn't keep any food down. I couldn't, and I reached a point where I couldn't even stand up. I'm lying in the sleeping bag the Peace Corps had given me, and on the floor of this hut, and there was no way I could take that journey through the jungle back to try to find one of those rickety old buses and get back up to some medical facility. So I'm kind of resigned to dying. I am resigned to dying at this point. And late one afternoon, the teacher comes up to me, and he's leading this little old man by the hand, and this guy's scary looking. He's practically naked. He's got a loincloth, but his body's covered with these tattoos, and he's little, but I'm lying down on the floor, so he looked pretty big. And the school teacher says, "This guy's the shaman."
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea what a shaman was. This is 1968, and he says, "Well, he can heal you." Well, what would you do, Danny?
I would say, have at it.
Yeah. What else?
Let's get started, baby.
What have I got to lose?
Give me that good.
Yeah.
Give me that good dope. That good Amazon dope.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even know there was such a thing, But that night, he did. So this shaman did give me what we now know is ayahuasca, and it took me on this strange journey, and I'm hallucinating, but. I've been going through some pretty rough times anyway. I haven't eaten for a long time, but on this journey, I saw that. So at one point, I've got my eyes closed. I'm lying on this bench. Some shaman had carried me into the shaman's lodge and put me on this bench, and I've got my eyes closed and. All the shaman says, it's translated by the teacher, but so it's going through a couple of steps. But the shaman says, touch the jaguar. And it's the middle of the night in the middle of the jungle, and you can hear jaguars at night. We've seen their tracks during the day. I know they're around there, and oh my God, I wake up, I open my eyes and look around, where's the jaguar? And the shaman says, no, through the translator, no, close your eyes and see the jaguar and then touch it. So I did, and there was first this amorphous form, and it looked like a jaguar, and I reached out and touched it. And as I did that, I saw and heard my mother saying, "Son, the food and drink will kill you." And I got to tell you, so the people in the Amazon don't drink water from the rivers because they know the rivers have got organic material, dead animals, rotting trees. It's dangerous. So the women make a kind of beer that's called chicha, and they make it by chewing manioc root and spitting it. And the saliva acts like yeast. It sets up a fermentation process. And you get a beer, and it can get very strong very quickly because you're in the tropics, and you can add water to that. And so that's what they drink. And the foods, one of the favorite foods is you reach into a rotting log and pull out a handful of squirming white grubs and down the hatch.
Insects?
Grubs, worms.
Yeah.
In the wood.
Worms.
High nutrition, but
yeah, high protein.
Yeah.
Piranha are actually a huge source of food down there too.
That's
right?
true.
Yeah.
Piranhas, but they're very bony. But
yeah,
you can eat them. They don't attack people. That's another myth we can talk about. But I've swum with a lot of piranha. But so
really.
Yeah, and then later in life, I hung out with a lot of piranhas who were in the human form. But they're dangerous. The ones in the rivers, and that's another story. So I'm realizing I'm drinking a lot of spit beer because you got to rehydrate.
So you're not drinking the beer to get f***ed up. You're just drinking the beer because you need something to drink.
Yeah, that's all there is. Basically, that you can trust. It's because it's got alcohol, so the water's now been kind of purified with the alcohol.
There's no way to harvest the rainwater or water from clean streams to drink.
Well, yes, theoretically there is, but that's not their culture and their custom. They do a lot of chicha
Okay.
And it's considered also kind of a sacred drink. The women make it, and it's their gift to the men who bring back the animals for protein. So the women make it. So there's this exchange. It's a real strong cultural thing.
Wow.
So they drink a lot of chicha, and they love it. And you got to rehydrate frequently. And I'm eating a lot of squirming white grubs and other things that I won't even mention because there weren't any Cliff Bars.
Mm-hmm.
So no Perrier, no Cliff Bars. So I'm eating and drinking these things. But I realized on this ayahuasca journey that as I'm doing this, I'm hearing a voice like my mother in my head saying, it'll kill you. My mindset was saying, it'll kill you. And at the same time, I'm seeing in this same vision quest how robust and healthy the Shuar are. You know, the men will carry 200 or 300 pound dead boars and tapirs that they've killed in the jungle, out of the jungle. They get legs that make a World Cup soccer star jealous, you know, and the women, well, I was in my early 20s, and the quite promiscuous culture by tradition, the women were looking quite good.
Yeah.
People live to be very old if they don't die in a hunting accident or a dugout canoe or something.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. The mortality rate, like the age they live to, it was like it's probably the same age, if not older, as normal cultures. They just don't, unless they, you know, as long as they don't die from wounds from hunting or getting, you know, combat wounds or whatever it is.
Right. Or in there's a lot of deaths in childbirth and at the time a very high infant mortality rate. So that brings the whole average weight. You know, if you look at averages, that brings it way down. But if people survive the first 10 years, they likely live to be very old unless it's an accident or like you said. So I see on this experience that it isn't the food and drink that's killing me. It's my mindset. It's my perception. It's this voice that's telling me it's killing me. Our minds are so powerful. And the next day, I felt a lot better, and I continued to feel better. And the shaman came back, and kind of it's being translated later, but it turns out he spoke more Spanish than he let on at the beginning. He comes back later and says, you know, I cured you. You owe me, and you need to be my apprentice. Now, this is 1968, just going into 69. And I have I graduated from business school. I want to go out and make money. I want to say hell out of here. I mean, there was no future in shamanism in those days. There is today. But the guy saved my life. So I took it on. And that changed everything. The community now suddenly accepts me. I'm training with one of their most revered elders. I'm learning their culture. I'm no longer is being held in suspicion. I'm enjoying it. I'm learning how to prepare ayahuasca. I'm learning a lot. And more than anything else, what he kept drilling into me was this idea of touching the jaguar, which is the title of one of my books, and the second from the last book I just wrote a couple of years ago. And what he said that is that when we have a blockage, when there's something that's holding us back, when there's something that's changing our perception, that's hurting us, if we run from it, it'll chase us like a jaguar will if you run from it. But if you reach out and touch it, it gives you the ability, the energy, the wisdom to change your perception. And when you change your perception, you change your actions, and then you change reality. So this illiterate shaman was feeding me this very exciting philosophy of perception molds reality, and which later I would study with shamans in other cultures, and they all have the same concept, but it's also the same concept that runs psychoanalysis, modern psychoanalysis. Perception changes our reality. And business and politics. Marketing is all about perception changing reality. Danny, you can't get what you want in life unless you have a jacket just like mine. And I'll be happy to sell this to you for a couple of $1,000s. But you got to have it if you want to have a successful show. You got to have a jacket.
Right.
That's the perceptions mold reality, And that's what I would use as an economic hitman. But it was interesting. So that's where I first really connected with this philosophical theory, which I probably have heard in Philosophy 101 in college, but it never really meant much to me. But now it's I've seen, practically speaking.